Today we're going to be ranking every superhero movie ever made from worst to best. Okay, technically it's not literally every single one. There's like probably 5 to 10 that I didn't put on here because no one's ever seen them, and I wanted the list to be exactly 100 for aesthetic purposes. But I would say for 95% of you, this has every superhero movie you have ever watched or would ever watch, and the other 10 fucking random ones no one's ever seen. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? My name is John, but people on the internet call me Narwhal, and I have been in the process of watching through every single superhero movie ever made for the last like 6 months. The series started on TikTok, it blew up over there, so I decided to start doing it on YouTube as well. And for the last couple months, I've been doing in-depth reviews on YouTube, but those videos take me substantially longer, and unfortunately, because of the fact that I was doing one movie a day on TikTok, I obviously finished the 100 movies in about 100 days. But because I work full-time and I also do this and TikTok and a bunch of other shit too, I genuinely have not had enough time to try and do a YouTube video for each movie every single day, because those literally take me like 5 hours. So before we dive into this ranking of the top 100, I just want to clarify for everybody so we're all on the same page. I actually privated my last video. It was a Black Panther review. I've just decided I want to move on from the simple sit and review a movie and that's about it. The last few videos I posted, I honestly have not been that proud of, because to me, I have desires to make more in-depth content breaking down specific parts of a film, or the symbolism behind a movie that maybe you didn't even realize when watching, or weird fan theories about a movie that actually make a whole lot of sense if you dive into it, or fun ranking lists like this where I talk about a whole genre as a whole and ranking them, or breaking down different directors or writers. Those are the type of videos I want to make, and the last week or two I've realized it's really not the best quality of content for me to do a review on a movie that I literally watched like 2 months ago now. For example, my last video was a review on Black Panther, but by the time I finally had a chance to record the YouTube review, it had already been over 2 months since I saw Black Panther. So as you can imagine, my thoughts and feelings and critiques towards this movie are 2 months old. Like, obviously I had written down notes as I was first watching it, but I just feel like the reviews were slowly becoming less and less accurate to the film and being able to discuss certain specific aspects of like this part of dialogue or this part of the film, because I honestly can't remember that many details for 2 months on 100 different movies. So with that being said, I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. I hope you're excited for my videos in the future, because I really just want to make higher quality videos that are more unique. There are a ton of people on YouTube that do movie reviews, and I think they're amazing. I watch them myself. Jeremy Johns, Chris Stuckman, Your Movie Sucks, like all those guys, I watch them and I love their videos, and honestly, I just don't think I can do that as well as they can, and quite frankly, I don't want to. I want to make videos more like what Karsten Runquist makes, or 24 Frames of Nick. If you don't know who those guys are, I recommend watching some of their videos. They're some of my favorite, and I think they're really fun and unique, and that's the kind of the direction I want to go down, rather than just sitting here reviewing a movie that, quite honestly, I don't know that much about. Now, let's get into the list. Now, the last thing I want to say before we dive into it, that's not to say I will never do movie reviews ever again. Obviously, if there's a big new film that comes out and everyone's talking about it and I want to talk about it, I will. I'll do a simple review from time to time, but generally speaking, I want these videos to be a bit longer, better edited, and just more engaging overall. So with all that out of the way, let's hop into this list. I'll be starting at 100 and working my way all the way up to number 1. For the sake of time and entertainment value, some of these movies I have some thoughts on and some notes that I'll talk about, but other ones, you know, I honestly don't have a whole lot to say about them. All right, let's do this. Number 100, the worst superhero movie I've ever seen, Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. This movie is the definition of a cinematic disaster. This movie came out 9 years after its original, and the effects are 10 times worse. They had a huge budget cut, and you can definitely tell. The movie's honestly incomplete and just not good all around. 99 is Hellboy 2019. A lot of people are gonna think that's a really hot take, but I had absolutely no fun watching this movie. I disliked Hellboy's character design compared to the original, and for some reason, half the time he spoke, he mumbled his lines, and I didn't even know what he was saying. 98 is Elektra. 97 is Batman and Robin. I don't know why this movie even got made. 96 is Fantastic Four. No, not the remake, the original Fantastic Four. As I've mentioned many times before, I went into this challenge having no experience with superheroes. I've never read the comics, and so for me personally, watching Fantastic Four was an absolute chore, and I had a lot more fun watching the remake. 95 is Catwoman. That was when cinema was at its peak of sexualizing the lead female character, and that's just the tip of the iceberg with the issues. It's just really terrible. There's a basketball scene that is one of the weirdest basketball scenes I've ever seen in a movie. If you've seen the movie, you know the scene I'm talking about, and honestly, I haven't seen anyone try and defend Catwoman. I think we're all on the same page that it's not the best. 94 is Steel. I think this movie was only made because Shaq was a cultural icon at the time and they wanted to capitalize off his name. I love Shaq as a basketball legend. As an actor, well, I don't know, man. The acting in this movie was substantially worse than probably any other movie on this list. I just can't believe that there's people out there that enjoy it, like, at all. But if you do, I'm really happy. Like, I'm glad you like it. 93 is Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, which is the second Ghost Rider movie. It has Nicolas Cage in it once again, which is cool, but even that couldn't save this movie. 92 is Spawn. I think some people have a soft spot for this movie because it brings back a bunch of nostalgia of their childhood. But as a 23-year-old adult watching it by myself on a Tuesday morning, not that fun. 91 is Howard the Duck. It's weird as shit. I giggled a few times, but it's definitely gonna give me nightmares. But the movie poster is really sick and I kind of want to buy it and hang it up in my room because I just love the design of it. But yeah, Howard himself is going to be my sleep paralysis demon for the rest of my life. 90 is Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. 89 is superhero movie. I know a lot of people would not consider that a superhero movie because it's literally a parody of other superhero movies, but it was the last one on the list. I wanted to end it with a big meme. Obviously, it's pretty shitty. I mean, what did you expect? But I do think it does a great job of capturing some of the tropes that are always in these superhero movies. 88 is Batman Forever. I've already made a video on Batman Forever, so I don't have a whole lot to say here. 87 is Spider-Man 3. I'm gonna be totally honest. I watched the movie and I made an in-depth review of the movie, and sitting here right now, I don't remember a single goddamn thing about Spider-Man 3. You could offer me 100 million subscribers on YouTube if I just could recite the plot of Spider-Man 3, and I couldn't do it. 86 is Suicide Squad, the original Suicide Squad, which a lot of people think is the worst superhero movie ever made, and I understand why. It doesn't do anything that I think the diehard superhero fans or comic fans want or expected, but for a noob like me, it was slightly more enjoyable than these other movies beneath it, strictly because its visuals were probably a little better. But that's literally all it has going for it. 85 is X-Men Dark Phoenix. 84 is Superman 3. 83 is Ghost Rider. Nicolas Cage is awesome in it, but that's it. 82 is Mystery Men. From my understanding, this has a huge cult following and some people really love it. People were dying for me to watch it, and I didn't like it that much. It has Frank Gallagher from Shameless in it, which is cool, I guess, and Ben Stiller's in it, which, by the way, I saw this thing that Ben Stiller literally runs in every single movie he's ever in. There's a scene of him sprinting in every movie he's in, so that's cool, I guess. But yeah, the movie, never gonna watch it again. 81 is Kick-Ass 2. It took everything I liked about Kick-Ass and didn't put it in Kick-Ass 2. Number 80 is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. This movie made me feel nothing. I felt like it was a homework assignment that I was just trying to get through, so I didn't fail. 79 is Daredevil. I don't know, I feel like this movie kind of cast a spell on me because I keep thinking about it, but like for no good reason. 78 is Blade Trinity, and 77 is Blade 2. In my head, those two movies are basically the same film, and for some reason I can't remember anything about them. I just remember Blade 1. 76 is Superman Returns. 75 is Aquaman. 74 is Glass. A lot of people were confused as to how Glass and Split were superhero movies, and all I have to say is it's part of a franchise that's literally based on comics. It goes Unbreakable, then Split, then Glass. They're part of a trilogy, and sure, you could say Split and Glass are not really superhero movies in the same way that all these other ones are, but at the end of the day, they're based on comics, and that's all I really meant with this challenge, is just anything that fits in that general world of comics. After how much I love Split, I was really hoping for Glass to be a great continuation, and sadly, it just felt like a wet fart. 73 is Thor: The Dark World. I definitely didn't think it was as terrible as everyone was telling me it was gonna be. It seemed like a lot of people just absolutely despised this film. 72 is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I thought Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was really fun to watch, and I generally enjoyed 1 and 2, but I feel like a good indicator on whether or not the movie was good is if I could recite any of the characters or plot points of the movie, and it's only been 2 months and I don't really remember anything. You'll notice a trend. The movies I don't like that much, I don't remember shit about. 71 is Captain America: The First Avenger. I know I just committed a war crime against the nation of Marvel fans, but Captain America just doesn't do it for me. 70 is Batman Returns. 69 is Hulk 2003. I didn't think it was atrocious. I mean, I personally liked The Incredible Hulk as well, so take my opinion with a grain of salt, or like a whole bucket of salt, because everyone hates my thoughts on a lot of these movies. It was serviceable. It was 2003. I mean, come on, man. You can't have that high of expectations for 2003. 68 is Wonder Woman 1984. 67 is X-Men Apocalypse. 66 is Green Lantern. That might be pretty high on the list for some of you, but it has Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds, and anytime Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Ryan Reynolds, you're gonna like it because it's Ryan Reynolds. I don't think I need any other justification because it's fucking Ryan Reynolds. 65 is Hellboy 2: The Golden Army, and 64 is the original Hellboy. Although I rated the second Hellboy higher than the first one, I put the first one higher on my list because I would rather watch that one. Oftentimes I found myself losing interest in a character during the sequel if I could tell that it was not blatantly better than the first one. I think to me, I had more fun learning about a character for the first time having no prior knowledge of who or what Hellboy is than I did watching a sequel where I already know who and what Hellboy already is, and then continuing the story just doesn't personally affect me as much as meeting him for the first time. 63 is X-Men: The Last Stand. 62 is X-Men 2. As you can tell, a lot of the X-Men movies were decent to me, but none of them ever blew me away. 61 is, you guessed it, X-Men. 60 is Captain Marvel. 59 is Fantastic Four from 2015. To this day, I don't agree with the hate. I understand the hate. I've talked to a lot of my friends that are diehard comics fans, and they say that the remake did not do justice to what the Fantastic Four is supposed to be according to the comics. It was not bright and colorful. It was very dull. I just think the general tone of the movie was the biggest issue for a lot of people, amongst many other things, apparently. And yes, the characters made some pretty fucking stupid decisions, but I had a really fun time watching it. 58 is the original Avengers. 57 is Black Widow. I feel that if this movie came out a few years before it did, it would have hit a lot harder and been a lot more engaging for a lot of people, because all of us already know how that story ends anyways, so that movie is ultimately inconsequential, and I'm kind of salty that I spent $30 to watch it by myself. Not worth it.
Oh, John, why didn't you go see it in the theaters, forehead?
Because I had to make a fucking TikTok where I have to film clips as I'm watching, and I can't do that in the theater because then I'll go to fucking prison or something. I don't really know what happens to people who film movies in movie theaters. Like, do they actually hunt you down and find you? 56 is Constantine. I love Keanu Reeves, and I really respect what this movie was trying to accomplish and how it took some risks and chances, and it was a lot different than most of these other movies. It had some very heavy religious themes, which I can get behind. Like, I'm not closing my mind off to a religious theme in a movie, but once again, this is one of those movies where as soon as I finished it and turned it off, I have never thought about it since. 55 is the original Batman from 1989. I know a lot of you guys really love this movie, and it's really important to cinema, which I understand. And if you guys love it because it represents your childhood or a turning point in the superhero genre, I totally respect it. But for me, it's a movie that I'm glad I can say I watched, but I don't see myself watching it again. 54 is Man of Steel. 53 is Venom. The plot, obviously not the best and kind of goofy, but I think Tom Hardy absolutely stole the show, and I think the dialogue between Venom and Tom Hardy's character was by far the best part of this movie, and it literally bumped it up a few points for me. I think Tom Hardy was a perfect casting choice, and I love anything he's in, so that's why it's that high. 52 is Birds of Prey. I think this movie had some of the most beautiful set design and color palette out of any of the movies I watched. 51 is The Green Hornet. I love how different it was, and it took a totally unexpected approach. It's honestly such a fun movie that I would love to watch again with my friends if we're all a little drunk. 50 is Superman 2. Bow, 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 bow. We have made it to the halfway point. How are you guys feeling? Do you need a quick moment to rejuvenate yourselves? I have been recording for 53 minutes. So today is not going to be as productive of a day as I thought it was. Real quick, I just want to encourage you guys to drop a like on this video if you're enjoying it. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you think of my list so far, and subscribe if you're new because I'd love to get this channel to 10,000. But anyways, let's hop back into this. 49 is The Wolverine. 58 is Blade. Wesley Snipes absolutely crushed it, and I'm so glad I now understand why he's such a legend. 47 is Iron Man 2. I already made a video on a lot of the MCU movies, so I'm not going to talk about them extensively. 46 is Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think it's visually unbelievable. I can respect the large-scale epic that it basically was. It felt like this huge, long story that should be told over many weeks around a campfire or something. There is so much fucking slow-mo in this movie. I could not believe it. I really do think I understand what the goal of this film was and the style that it's going for, and I get why people love it, but for me, oh boy, it was a bit long. 45 is Hancock. I love Will Smith. I had Will Smith quotes posted all over my bedroom walls as a child, so I'm glad I finally got to see this one. It's definitely pretty unique. I like the approach of him being a superhero, but also being the absolute worst, and I might maybe potentially watch it again someday. 44 is X-Men Origins Wolverine. 43 is The Incredible Hulk. As many of you know, I enjoyed that movie more than most people, but after watching the Cosmonaut Variety Hours video where he talks about The Incredible Hulk, I now realize a lot of the flaws and stupidity of it that I didn't really realize originally. But fuck it, I like it, and I'm not letting anyone change that, okay? I like it. 42 is the original Spider-Man. 41 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Thank God they kept Luis and his little tangents that he dives into, because those were honestly one of the best parts of the first and second movie. Paul Rudd is incredible, and these movies are just so fucking fun. 40 is Iron Man 3. 39 is Spider-Man Homecoming. 38 is The Crow. Once again, this is one of the most unique and different movies on this list. It has a really, really tragic backstory as to what happened to Brandon Lee during the filming of this movie. Personally, I think this is an important movie to watch strictly because of the history around it, so I recommend researching it a little bit. It's pretty fascinating. 37 is Wonder Woman. 36 is The Punisher. Emotionally, this movie really affected me. It's a super tragic story, and there's actually a really fun fact that I learned. At one point during the third act of this movie, a huge blonde character gets introduced, and he gets stabbed in the chest/shoulder area with a knife, and the take that's in the movie was a real knife. The prop person accidentally didn't swap out the fake knife with a real knife. So the take you see in the movie was that actor getting stabbed with a real knife, and he continued the scene how he was supposed to. He just stood there and took it emotionless, like a real fucking tank. I just can't imagine, like, you're expecting to get fake stabbed, and then you get real stabbed, and you still keep your composure. That's incredible. 35 is the original Superman. I honestly was skeptical because this was at the start of my challenge when I had literally just started watching some of these movies. I knew I didn't really enjoy the older movies as much. It just took me out of it a little bit, and I was worried that the effects or the graphics were going to be kind of shitty. But no, I was wrong. I thought that everything about it, from the opening scene to Clark Kent meeting his new family and getting really fucking fast, I loved it all. There were so many memorable scenes that I'll never forget. 34 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. If this is where I lose some of you guys, honestly, I understand. I'm sorry, but I don't know what to say. It was decent. It was objectively good. It's just not that high up for me personally. 33 is X-Men First Class. 32 is Avengers Age of Ultron. 31 is Watchmen. In my opinion, one of the most visually beautiful movies, similar to Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is another Zack Snyder movie, and you can tell he definitely has his aesthetic and his theme visually just nailed, and I'm excited to see what Zack Snyder does next. 30 is Shazam. I think this one surprised me the most out of any movie I watched. I really was not expecting to enjoy this one bit. I thought it was going to be a goofy, cheesy, fun, family, comedy, superhero movie where there's some cute little quips and goofy one-liners that a true comic fan will respect and appreciate because they love him as a character already. But once again, I was so wrong. It's like genuinely actually a funny movie. 29 is Captain America: Civil War. You don't like it? Sue me. 28 is Ant-Man. Like I said with Ant-Man and the Wasp, these are some of the most charismatic and just overall fun movies to experience out of this whole list, in my opinion. I don't think they have the it factor to ever be like a top tier movie where it's like in people's top lists, but I think they accomplish exactly what they wanted. They are super fun, really engaging, hilarious, and at the end of the day, what more can you ask for? 27 is V for Vendetta, and once again, this really shocked me because many years ago, I tried to watch this movie. During my freshman year of college, one of my professors had recommended V for Vendetta, and I'd always heard people talk about it, but I didn't know what it was. So one night, I laid down to watch it by myself, and within like 20 minutes, I turned it off because I did not like it at all. And let me just say right now, I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me back then because this movie is amazing. Once again, I think this is a type of movie that for most people will not be on like a top list. I just don't think it has the mass appeal that a movie like the fucking Dark Knight or Iron Man has, for obvious reasons. Just visually, you can look at it and realize this grungy, dark grittiness is not going to make it this huge movie forever and ever. But that doesn't mean it's not fantastic. 26 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. 25 is The Amazing Spider-Man. I love Emma Stone so much, so just keep that in mind that Emma Stone herself herself bumped this movie up like 2.5 points. But personally, I enjoyed Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I don't know what to say. I think some people think he sucks ass, but I went in with no expectations and I really had a lot of fun. 24 is Thor. 23 is Deadpool 2. I don't think I have a whole lot that I can add that you haven't heard from somebody else already, but it's great. 22 is Kick-Ass. I knew absolutely nothing about this movie going into it, and I was really pleasantly surprised. 21 is Black Panther. I just posted a video literally last week, but that video is now private because I feel like I just didn't do as good of a job as I wanted to portray my thoughts on it. The 500 of you that watched it, you know my thoughts, and the rest of you, it'll just be a mystery. 20 is X-Men Days of Future Past. 19 is Spider-Man Far From Home. 18 is Avengers Infinity War. No, I didn't like it as much as Endgame. I'm sorry, but I didn't cry during Infinity War, and I did cry during Endgame, so that, in my mind, means I liked it a bit better, maybe. Number 17. Are you guys ready for this one? Super. This is one of James Gunn's earlier films, and it's starring Rainn Wilson, aka Dwight from The Office, who, by the way, is from Seattle. Shout out to you, Rainn, hometown legend. But this movie is fucking wild. There were a lot of scenes in it that I could not believe actually got put in a movie and did not get cut out before the final release. Some things definitely did not age well and would never be allowed to be put in a big movie like that today, but goddamn do I respect it and I appreciate how different it was, and just honestly it has a lot of philosophical and existential themes tied into this goofy superhero movie, and it's fucking hysterical. 16 is The Dark Knight Rises. 15 is Batman Begins. 14 is Guardians of the Galaxy. 13 is the original Iron Man. It was tough trying to decide if that was going to be in my top 10 or not, as well as number 12, which was Unbreakable, which if you're younger, like if you're in middle school or high school right now and you haven't seen Unbreakable and you've just like heard people talk about it, but you think it's just one of those older superhero movies that you don't need to watch, you are wrong. You need to watch it. It's fucking amazing. Go watch Unbreakable right now. Number 11 is Thor Ragnarok, and I'm sorry it didn't make the top 10. It was so close, but I just couldn't do it. Now, we have made it to the top 10, which if you follow me on TikTok, which you all should do at Hey Narwhal, you would already know my top 10. Oh, fuck. I just realized I didn't put in The Suicide Squad because it's so new and I just watched it and I haven't put it on my list yet. Well, this is awkward. Well, this is going to be a top 10, but then it's also going to have like an extra one. So it's going to be a top 11, even though I just said number 11. Just fucking ignore that for a second. So the new number 11 one is gonna be Joker, all right? Obviously, Joaquin Phoenix absolutely crushed it. Genuinely one of the best individual performances I've seen probably in my whole life. I think his performance was a cinematic feat in and of itself, but I do think the movie as a whole was a little bit overhyped. But with that being said, his performance obviously still put the movie in my top 10. Well, 11 now. Kinda. Anyway, number 10 is The Suicide Squad. Keep in mind, I think a large part of my enjoyment for this movie was because I got to fly to LA and I got to go to like a early screening of it where people were cosplaying and there was Harley Quinns everywhere and there was a dude in the shark costume, and it was just like, it was a really cool experience. And it was the first time I'd seen a movie in theaters since the fucking pandemic started. But with all that aside, I do think the movie is fantastic. I think James Gunn accomplished exactly what he wanted to. I think it is the like comic book movie for the superhero fans. It's self-aware, it's hilarious, it's goofy. I think there was a couple characters that were slightly underutilized, like I talked about in my review for the film, but overall I had an amazing time, and it's number 10. Number 9 is Deadpool, and I mean obviously Ryan Reynolds. I love him. Everyone thinks my dad looks like Ryan Reynolds if he was like 30 years older. I love that it breaks the fourth wall quite a bit. I think that adds a whole new dynamic to the viewing experience, and it's just one of those movies that I could see myself watching over and over and over for the rest of my life and not getting sick of it. So yeah. Number 8 is Spider-Man 2. I already did a whole review on that movie, so I'm not going to talk about it here. Number 7 is Doctor Strange, and it has grown the most on me out of any movie I've watched from when I first finished it to now. It has just skyrocketed in my brain because I just can't stop thinking about it. Number 6 is Split. Now, what I was saying about Joaquin Phoenix's performance, I feel the exact same way about Split. I think James McAvoy's performance is maybe my favorite I've ever seen. Now, I will say there were some people commenting saying that his performance does not accurately represent multiple personality disorder. Is that what it's called? There might be a different term for the disorder that he has, but you know what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, it's a movie. It's fictionalized. Not every detail is always going to be perfectly accurate to reality, and I think that's okay. I was just so captivated from start to finish. The movie literally felt like 30 minutes because I was so engaged the whole time. It felt like time didn't exist. Number 5 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Holy shit. I'm a video editor by trade. Like, that's my day job, is I sit at a computer and I edit videos, and I can't even begin to imagine the amount of time, dedication, and talent that went into animating this movie. The type of editing I do is super rudimentary stuff. It's very basic in Adobe Premiere. I don't even fuck around with After Effects that much. So to envision animating every single frame of this movie to where you pause the movie and every frame will look like a comic book is just bonkers to me. And I think, like, obviously a lot of people respect it and understand it's amazing, but I think a lot of people still don't realize the magnitude of the accomplishment of, like, having this movie exist. This is huge for cinema and, like, human technology. The fact that we can make something that looks that visually beautiful and it has such a good story and such an amazing soundtrack and it all exists in one film is just amazing to me. Number 4 is Avengers Endgame. I thought it wrapped up the Avengers story in a beautiful and emotionally investing way. I could be wrong, but I think this was only one of 2 movies on this whole list that I cried from. I just think they do such an amazing job of tying all of these complex storylines together. And as a fan of film, I personally am much more focused on the character pieces and character development as opposed to plot, which is why a lot of my top movies maybe don't have the best plot, you could argue, but in terms of performances and character, I feel like they're all really powerful. And for me, I just enjoyed watching Endgame a bit more than Infinity War. Number 3 is Chronicle. Please, for everything good in this world, if you like movies and you haven't seen Chronicle, as soon as this video ends, go watch it. Watch it with your family, watch it with your friends, watch it by yourself, it doesn't matter. It is so unbelievably underrated. It's set in Seattle, which is my hometown, which is pretty fucking awesome. It has Michael B. Jordan. It really feels like this independent passion project that turned into this beautiful film, and you can feel the passion oozing through the screen. And the most exciting thing I have to say in this whole video is that this movie came out in 2012, and ever since it came out, there's been a cult following who have really wanted the sequel, and there were actually a lot of rumors that the script for the sequel has been completed for many, many years, but it's just never been made, and a lot of people thought it never would get made, but last month it finally got announced that the sequel movie is indeed finally being made. We don't know too much about it yet, but from my understanding, it follows a different group of characters. It's not like a direct sequel right after the first one, but regardless, I'm really hyped to see it, and I think all of you should see the first one and then watch the second one right when it comes out to support the filmmakers and tell the industry that we like movies like this. All right, here we go. Number 2 is Logan. I believe Logan is the only other movie that I cried from on this whole list. It really is a beautifully tragic tale and an amazing way to wrap up the franchise. There's a scene where Professor X has a seizure, and it is so incredibly intense. It's incredibly gory, and it shows absolutely everything, which I can really respect. And honestly, this movie made me feel emotions that no other movie on this list has made me feel. I love the themes of how Logan really has no pride in being a mutant, and since he's essentially immortal, he's just been alive for so fucking long and he's so ready to die. I don't know, I mean, you guys probably all love this movie too, so there's not much I can add, but it was my second favorite. Now, my favorite superhero movie of all time, after watching all of them in order, I can confidently say is The Dark Knight. It's a basic answer for good reason. This movie is fucking unbelievable. Some people commented saying they thought it was super overhyped and the only reason people like the movie is because of the Joker, and I just entirely disagree. Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker was definitely unbelievable. Once again, another one of those performances that is one of the best I've ever seen. But that doesn't mean the rest of the movie wasn't amazing too. I thought Christian Bale absolutely crushed it. I thought the plot was thrilling and intriguing, and the way that Bruce Wayne doesn't really defend Batman is pretty interesting to me, and I loved how different that was than like the Spider-Man movies. I've already made a whole video giving my thoughts on The Dark Knight, so you can just scroll down a little bit on my channel and watch that one if you want to hear more in depth. But there you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this hour-and-a-half video. I don't know how long it's going to be when I finally edit edit it, but I've been recording for like an hour and 45 minutes. This video is definitely going to take me a long time to edit, so if you guys did watch to this point and you enjoyed it, I really would appreciate it if you left a like, leave a comment down below to help the algorithm, and subscribe if you're new, and maybe tell your friends or link this video to your friends and see what they think. Like I said at the start of the video, I really do want to make just better overall videos that I put more time into and I can just tell are higher quality and have some value that I feel like is currently not filled in the YouTube movie scene. I think there's so many people that do amazing movie reviews, and honestly, I don't think that I have a whole lot to add that they don't already say, but I do feel like I have things to say for certain videos talking about certain films people haven't seen, or certain movie series that have a really unique style of cinematography, or this show called Bodyguard, which I want to make a video on very soon. Bodyguard has one of the best opening scenes I've ever seen in my life, and most people have never even heard of it. Like I said, people like Karsten Runquist, 24 Frames of Nick, Thomas Flight, they all make analysis videos of film that obviously take longer than your average review, so I hope you guys will keep supporting even if the uploads slow down to maybe once or twice a week rather than every other day. But with that being said, I had a lot of fun making this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.